All right, all right. I think we are live. We are live. What is going on, everyone? Commodore Laz here, and welcome back to the newest edition of Yap Piece. We're here today for episode 3, talking about the events that just went down in chapter 1163 of the best ongoing manga, the greatest adventure story ever told, bro. Listen, man, I wasn't thinking about doing another one of these yet until the next break week. But honestly, after the events went down in the last chapter, I had to do it. Now, mind you, we're doing it at this time right now. It makes the most sense for me because I got the day off and stuff. I got the Blue Jays later today. Got some birthday festivities to celebrate with my pops and stuff. So we're gonna be doing that today with Father Commodore and all that. So this is the only time right now I have. So we're gonna be here for like about an hour, hour and a half, give or take. I'm gonna try and see who's available after the Discord. They want to talk after about the chapter and stuff, but we're gonna be breaking down the details about what happened in the chapter because I feel like today is a good time to do that. We've had a day to kind of let things kind of like settle in a little bit and see how we feel a day afterwards, man. But I see Pebble in here. Ken, what's going on, fam? What's going on, fam? How do we sound, by the way, with the audio and stuff? Because I don't know how. Yeah, we look. Yeah, I think we were okay. By the way, the visual and stuff, you guys let me know also in the comments too. The setup and everything. How do you like this? Because I kind of wanted to change things up just a little bit, slightly with how we have things prepared. But yeah, man. Let me just change something here. Hold on. Let me see. Yo, Zabi, what's going on? Vaughn, what's going on? Yeah, we sound good? We sound good? Okay, bet. Sound nice? Yeah, I mean, the visuals hopefully looks a little good and stuff and everything too, man, because obviously, I want to make sure that we're trying to, like, just change things up a little bit for different vibes and stuff, especially too when you have so much lights going on. It's dark, but for those, of course, joining them right now, of course, as I was saying right now, we're going to talk about 1163. If you are a part of the Discord server, jump into the waiting room and stuff. If you're not in the Discord server, link down below to the Discord server. Join the waiting room and try and get people in afterwards. Just get to hear the thoughts and stuff, talking about the chapter and all that. And then, yeah, man. D-Law, what's good? What's good? What's good? How am I, Zabi? I've been good, man. Listen, bro, yesterday's chapter was crazy, and I can't wait to talk about it, but I got busy weekend coming up, man, for sports. Blue Jays, game 1 of the World Series against the Dodgers. I'm looking forward to that. A bunch of stuff that's going to be going down too, man. So I'm in good spirits right now. Obviously, work aside, but I'm in good spirits. Yeah, I hope you make the same atmosphere in the Monday Dawn on reaction. I think, yeah, Ken, I might do it in this style too. I might do it for Monday as well, because I feel like I want to test these things out in the Yap pieces too, as kind of a way to know how we want to do this for the streams and stuff going forward. But yeah, so let me check. Edens, what's going on? By the way, Edens, if you're free to talk afterwards about One Piece, bro, I'll jump in the manor and then I'll jump in afterwards. We talk about it and stuff. But or if you want, actually, you know what? Hold on. Let me. If you want to jump in now, and then I can, when I switch over, I can try and have like y'all in the background for audio and stuff afterwards and everything. Yeah, DJ, what's going on? What's going on, boy? Yo, the Mandans are all pulling up, man. I appreciate y'all boys, bro. I appreciate y'all boys. Now, let me just close this before I forget this afterwards. And then we'll have the thing over here. So, one sec. Let me just see if anyone is in the Discord right now, because if not, because then we can just kind of go over page by page with y'all just talking about it. And by the way, I'm hoping the visual for this is not going to get me in trouble, because I do want to show it to you guys at least step by step, like what we're going to go through and stuff without having like this over here, right? Because if I go and put like the chapter cover, it kind of kills it a little bit. So we'll see how it goes. I'll let you know. Okay, bet. Oh yeah, no worries. But what's it call it? Yeah, so we'll go through page by page, like what we're going through right now with the chapter and stuff, because I do want to give it that one day after the fact of how we're feeling about it and stuff, man. But for those, of course, new to the channel, watching for the first time, if you want to be a part of the weekly experience when it comes to my coverage of One Piece week in, week out, make sure you're subscribed. We talk about the series every single week. Whether it be Thursday, Fridays, no matter what it is, we talk about the One Piece greatness as well as Dadanon. So if you want to be a part of that, make sure to subscribe. Like the stream, also helps out with the algorithm quite a lot, because yeah, we got to fight YouTube and all that, man. But yeah, anyways, let's go into the chapter itself. So cover page wise, I think we can kind of say like this isn't a big thing whatsoever, because we moved on from the Yamato stuff afterwards. So whatever Oda's gonna be planning after, I assume was gonna come maybe towards the end of Elbaf and everything. So that's not my thing to be talking about too much. But let's go over the beginning stages of this, right? So where we left off from 1162, gone into 1163, with Emu like standing in front of all these Marines and everything, right? This image is just, it's quite scary, honestly. Like you already know my feelings on Saturn's design. I absolutely hate the bug that he is and everything, but this thing just in real time looking at it is just out of this damn world, bro. It's crazy how Cole can't get copyright over on his YouTube with the shot being shown, although he has like a filter on it. So yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a way that he does it too, but like, yeah, I mean, I might also just throw this on as well, just to play on the safe side too, because again, I don't want to take any of those risks by accident if things will get wonky. But on the worst case scenario, if we have to take the stream down, we'll take it down, and I'll take the L if it may happen and stuff. But yeah, because I remember I did it last time too when I talked about it in the last chapter and stuff when we did the coverage for I forget what chapter it was exactly. It was 1158 or something, I think. But anyways, but yeah, like the stuff we saw again with the whole thing that was happening between Emu and Saturn fusing together and going after pretty much everybody that's there. The design looks absolutely incredible, just at how fearful this thing actually looks. Like, I know the anime is gonna go crazy with this stuff, so there's no question in my mind that this is gonna be the most spookiest stuff we're gonna be seeing here. But they portray, I guess, like the horror aspect to some degree, quite well. And then just seeing everybody like left and right just getting obliterated. Like it didn't matter if they were grunts, it didn't matter what occupation they had within the Marines. Everybody was getting touched. Marine, pirate, don't matter what it is. So they were getting crushed one by one, just being absolutely decimated. How are we feeling though about the Emu Saturn design and stuff, right? Between the fusing, right? Because I feel like that's something we're gonna be seeing quite a lot still with Emu, like the way we saw with Gunko, they kind of combined together. Now with Saturn, I kind of presume that's gonna be the same way as well with the rest of the Gorosei members. So I'm curious what you guys make of the whole thing, because for me, like, it's quite a scary thing that this demon, devil, whatever you want to call it, is capable of doing these things. And I definitely do want to talk about a certain ability, which is of course with the name of today's Yap Piece and all that. Yeah, totally gassing up Emu. I already know it, and rightfully so. I think because you know what, I've been hearing some crazy stuff regarding Emu, and I think it's understandable that some people are gonna feel the way that they feel about the character and everything. But I think this chapter, in a lot of capacities, may have halted that idea until we actually get to see a certain confrontation possibly happen after the fact. I think I prefer Emu Gunko over Emu Saturn, but it's still fine. Design kind of whatever to me because it's just Emu on top of Saturn. It kind of is though, Edens. I think the anime is gonna have to like really like, because you know what it is, like when you're watching like in black and white, it's kind of difficult to kind of like really put into your mind like the color. But then again, like if Emu's in all black, it's like an Air Force One, right? It's like you can't really do much. That's the design. But anyways, so the fight's all going on, like you're just getting the background stuff of what's going to be happening basically. Roger, he's gonna make his way into the fight and stuff. And I love how Gabon kind of says something. It's like, you know, in a way, it's like, you know, just don't do anything crazy. Like if you're gonna go and do what you're gonna do, like you always do, because we always knows about this with Roger, is that, and this was something that was told, I think, going back to all the way to the ASL flashback, that Roger was the type of person that it didn't matter what was going on, he was gonna jump on and stand on business, right? He was gonna stand on 10 toes and get himself involved in something, right? Like it didn't matter what that was. And Gabon kind of feel like in that moment something was not right, but it's like, you know what? It's the captain. I'm gonna trust him. He's gonna do his thing. It is what it is. So he goes off. He's gonna go do his thing afterwards. I will say this though. The stuff with Garp, I can't lie to you, it does irk me somewhat. And I say somewhat, it's more so it does irk me than anything else. Because it's good. We're gonna see more in the pages as we're getting through it, but I don't know if the approach that Oda went through in terms of, you know, how he's realizing in the moment, like we're having this whole the hunt for all the rabbits and stuff, for all the people that have been enslaved that are made a part of this hunting game and all that. You see at times where he's trying to act as serious, and then a few pages later, as we get into the chapter, there's stuff that kind of like throwaways those elements a little bit, right? Because when I see this thing right here where he's like saying like, yo, what the hell is this monster? Da, 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 it's almost like in an actual like environment where it's like you can see the seriousness at times. You're kind of wondering, like, from Garp as yourself, it's like, what the hell is going on? Like, why are you all hiding this from me? Whatever, right? But obviously he's asking people that are just like him. They don't know what's going on, right? So it's like he's kind of unaware of what's happening. But then it's like, I don't know. Then it's like you try to go into those like funny moments here and there and everything with it, with Garp. And I don't know if that's the approach you should have gone, especially when we still need to know exactly why it is that he's still with the Marines, in spite of the fact that he dislikes his epithet, which I will talk about a little bit more after the fact. But let me see. I think if this flashback gets animated, I want it to be like terrifying with all the red colors, though, because having emu stuff like that, I think that also would be something that would be really good. Because I think you have to magnify the colors, which is something that Toei I always feel like whenever it comes to that approach, they're always really good when it comes to doing that. So I think that's something they have to definitely emphasize on for sure. Yeah, like red colors with the background and stuff for sure. Like the effect of how that's gonna come off and everything, I think that would be dope. But again, I don't know. The stuff with Garp, it's like we're gonna get more into it as it's passing by and everything. But it's been something that I have noticed for myself that's a little bit weird. But again, like it's the Oda trope of like, trying to stay like within a shonen where it's not gonna always be too serious or not. But I think for the moment that's happening right now, you kind of have to keep within one rhythm. And it definitely feels like it's kind of wishy-washy a bit in terms of trying to like really understand like how Garp actually feels about it when you're throwing comedic elements in there. I don't know why people can't accept Rox got DOMI REVERSI. The only time Emu got scared by Joy Boy's hockey. If Rox is as strong as Joy Boy, Emu will kill Rox the moment he arrives at a Holy Land. Yeah, Vaughn. I mean, that's the thing, though. I'm definitely gonna talk about that stuff too, because I listen, man. I'm gonna save my thoughts on that towards the end because I definitely want to speak on that because trust me, it's yeah. I listen, man. We're gonna save my thoughts on that because I don't want to blow up just yet. I really don't want to blow up on certain folk just yet, man. But I definitely understand that too. Peak, what's going on, man? After taking a breather from the chapter, not gonna lie, Garp as a character is a bit of a head scratcher, and I think that's very fair to say, though, Zabi, because it's like again, the personality that he has been displayed of throughout the whole series is one thing, but again, it's like you want to know exactly why it is that he dislikes the name of the hero of the Marines, and we're seeing these moments as they're happening right now, and I'm not sure if this is the way that I would have gone about with it. Like, I don't know if it's something with the art to help portray it better that Oda could have done maybe there. But I don't know. I just feel like for him, like him have this like agitation stuff of like what's going on, and then it's like you're throwing in lines like what a fitting look for the head of those maggots or something. It's just like, you know what I mean? It's just like I would rather just deal with a panel of him just looking at this thing in confusion, which would do a lot more to him and the audience at the very least understanding that what I'm seeing before right now, this is not normal. This is not right. Like what is going on in conjunction with everything else that we've been seeing so far. So before we get into that part there, Garfield's inconsistent. He does very feel inconsistent, and that's something that I feel like in a lot of ways that Oda needs to kind of fix up on there. Yo! Whoa! 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 Yo, listen, my heart just shook itself right there. Reese Lucas with the $50 bomba. Listen, I'm gonna have to get that something emotes or something or a noise button or something for those because that just caught me out of the loop, brother. I greatly appreciate that, man. Oh my god, that is crazy. A 50 dono bomba. Yo, shout out to bro. Shout out to bro, man. Shout out to Reese Lucas, man. Let me read this comment here. I think I finally understand this backstory. It's about the two men most important to Loki, his idol Rox and his father Harlan. Harold. I see this already. I know it's a tough man. His idol Rox and his father Harold. Both are men who wanted to change the world in their own ways, and both failed, and the world destroyed them. That is a very good point right there on that, Lucas. And yeah, man, that is crazy. I'm just still trying to factor in the thing. But again, thank you again for the donation. But I definitely do get that understanding. And I feel so this is where the important part is, Lucas, and on that thing too. At some point in time, Harold has to be here on God Valley. I feel like that's something that he needs to be a part of to see what's going on. Because it's like from going back to point A, right? It was Loki that was telling us from a 3-minute interval how exactly all this happened, and then we detoured straight into this whole thing right now going on from what's going on in Harold's life back all the way to what's happening in God Valley. I feel like you have to now find a way to string them back in. So I think if anything, the best case is that Harold does pull up and he witnesses what goes down, and this is where I think it gets very interesting, right? Because I've been of the belief, I said it in the previous chapters, I've even sent it to my boys and stuff afterwards and said on streams that the most likely idea that I can see happening is that Blackbeard's about to witness his family die before his eyes, which would speak volumes about the fact that he can't sleep at night because that's the one image that's locked into his mind. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, one of those things that's there, right? But then at the same time, if he's seeing, let's say, for example, that Garp ends up taking out Rocks, that's the point of view that he gets there. But then you have Harold, who knows that it's something else or somebody else that forced the situation to happen to Rocks. That would also be the other thing. So you would have two different perspectives that are happening. I think that would be the best way for Oda to go about this, where it's not so black and white and that there's multiple ways. Like whoever from whatever side you're seeing is you're getting their interpretation. And I wouldn't be surprised in the future afterwards if the reason why Blackbeard also captured Garp and made sure he didn't die is to relay all that stuff back after. So yeah, maybe Harold saves Teach. That would be fascinating. Reese, that will be very fascinating if that was to happen. So I definitely think it's something that I honestly believe that that I think Oda could probably end up doing, and I'm hoping it is a scenario he does, because as we're going to get into more in the chapter, we saw how the stuff with Shanks happened, but we're going to talk about it after. I do think, though, that if something were to happen to Iris in the form that she does die, and Rocks dies during this whole thing, I think that would be his way of atonement, I guess, for not being able to be there in time to save his friend, but at least save the kid. But I also think it's one of those things, man, where it's like, even though you saved the kid, unfortunately, that revenge tour is locked into his mind forever, and he became who he became today. So, but again, I greatly appreciate the donation, man. But yeah, I think that's gonna be what that's gonna end up happening there. Is that you're gonna see the one side of everything that Loki has appreciation and respect for when it comes to Rocks, and then he sees the other side with his dad. Because I do think there is part of his feelings where, yeah, he says things here and there, especially we're going off of what we know from the flashback so far, but in the present time, I definitely think he thinks a whole completely different thing, especially with the way his emotions were kind of like, I wouldn't say all over the place, but when he saw what happened with his dad in the moment that happened in the throne room, I definitely think there's a different mentality too. And not to mention, we got to see what's going on with Mosa as well, which will be fascinating. We're seeing everything and still seeing a silhouette of Emu, where that's really is the build. I definitely think, and this is where I'm coming from on it, because I know some are going to have a different perspective on it. I think by the end of Elbaf, we're going to get the face reveal. Either it's going to be from when Blackbeard pulls up on Emu, or it may even be like, because I always like the idea that during the time of when Harold's about to make this change in his mentality and how he wants to go about things, and he doesn't want to go about what's happening, because Summers Emu did say he made a mistake that led to his demise. I think in that process, he probably did see the face. I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happened, like a shading. But again, I've always been of the belief, though, that we're going to see the body, and it's going to be Nefertari D. Lily. I think that's going to end up being the case. And I still have a whole video I want to talk about that one day, but I'm going to wait until hopefully the next break week and I can actually put it into thought. But anyways, let's get back into the chapter. I apologize if we're on the yap and stuff, but yeah, I mean, that's for the pull part of Yap Piece, man. We just yap and yap, man. But anyways, we see right here, we got the confrontation after between Emu and Rocks. The pose, everything you already know with Rocks, man. I'm going to say this because I definitely think it was mentioned in the last chapter because there was more emphasis on his sword. I think, guys, like, let me know. It's a given that Rocks' sword is in Mary Joie. Like, when we go back and see, like, the throne, the garden room and stuff, whatever that Emu is in, there's a sword, like a saber, that's, like, in the ground. I think that's a given that's going to belong to Rocks. So I think for sure after whatever happened during their fights and everything went down, I definitely think that they ended up acquiring the sword and kept it there as like a memento, which again would be fascinating if Blackbeard was to pull up on Emu at the end of this arc, that they go and retrieve the sword and it's one of his own weapons after. I think that would be so fire, honestly. Yeah, and they're hiding the voice actor for Emu, which is interesting. Yeah, Double Gaming Ultra is definitely interesting how they're going about that too. I'm convinced more than ever all this is setting up for Loki becoming a Straw Hat and the insensitive of Luffy finally fighting Emu. Loki said in his intro that he wants to destroy the world. That is true. That is very true. That is very true, Reese. I think. See, here's the thing. I would have loved the idea of Loki joining the Straw Hat crew, because I do feel like the way that Oda's going about the training and the growth of the Straw Hat crew itself is not looking good right now. Like, in terms of like Usopp getting a moment in Elbaf that's going to help him out, it doesn't look great. The way that they're going about their glow-ups and stuff hasn't been as good unless it's like the top end of the crew. Because those guys, like the Luffys, the Zoros, the Sanjis, even Robin, I'm not afraid for really, and neither Jinbei. But it's like, I feel like the back half of the crew, they still need so much more work to go through. And I don't know if it's like, we have to see them in more fights. That's going to help upscale them. The way that they fight has to be upscaled. Because if we're to face the Blackbeard Pirates like today, crew for crew, I think we lose. I think we lose for sure in a fight. And your other options are either you're gonna bring in someone like Loki, it's gonna help out. I've always been more of the belief that again, like Yamato would also made a lot more sense. I think still to this day, the Yamato should have joined the crew after Wano. But we know that the offer is still there for Luffy to bring them in. But my whole thing that I want to go back to on that is right now, if I had to decide whether I want Loki in the crew or not, for me personally, I would love it. But I also think there's that option that he could even join the Blackbeard Pirates. And I say this because you have to remember what the comment we were talking about earlier is that Loki idolizes rocks. And if he were to find out that his son is in this world, and the fact that he missed on the opportunity to go and work under rocks because he was too young, it wasn't the right time. I think if he were to do that in real time with Blackbeard, the thing is that Blackbeard's crew would be too broken if Loki was to join up, because by that virtue, you have no choice but for Oda to actually focus on the Straw Hats actually getting time. Even though this final saga kind of makes it difficult to try and find that time, but you have to do something that's there. Because otherwise, it's like crew for crew right now, we're going to get stomped, man. Albasha, what's going on? What's going on? Let me see. Laz, what do you think if Emu is just a space alien? It would be interesting if Emu is actually not human 100%. I think that could be a scenario right there, DJ. I mean, listen, we've heard about the space pirates. We know about Enel going up to the moon and seeing all the androids, the automatas and stuff, right? There's a possibility that we could see that Emu, or let's say like the celestial dragons, are originally like a tribe from like space or something, whatever. So I think that's a possibility that's there. So yeah, I wouldn't throw that away just yet, but I think it's something that we definitely have to consider as a possibility. Let me see. Yeah, Loki, the final Straw Hat, preparing the crew for the final war would be valuable. It definitely would be, but it's one of those things where it's like, if you do that, then you're kind of telling me that the rest of the Straw Hat crew, let's say like the Usops, Choppers, Namis, all that, are going to have to go in like 3v1 somebody else. And I would rather see them get proper 1v1s, but that's going to require Oda to actually show them in combat more than how he's been showing, let's say like Luffy, for example. Because I feel like with Luffy, he's gotten a lot of time in these fights. And granted, I understand he's the MC. You want to show off his capability, especially with the Nika Nomi and him being basically like Joy Boy reincarnate and everything. But everybody else, I want to see them tango. I want to see them show the best of what they can offer, and it's tough, bro. Like, not being able to see like some of these other fights that are going down, which is another thing that kind of bugs me a little bit with God Valley in a smaller sense, is like, I want to see these characters fight. But we're going to talk about more of that in a moment, so I'm not getting too sidetracked on the Yap and everything, which, again, I appreciate y'all coming through and stuff with the Yap piece, and this is kind of how it goes almost all the time, man. We yap and yap and yap, and then we go from there. Emu's like Pennywise. That's hilarious. That's hilarious, Joshua. Nah, Emu shouldn't be alien unless we get to see a space arc and information way before revealing Emu being an alien. I mean, I would say if there's indicators here and there in the story that tells you that they actually are, then yeah, that's very much a possibility. So, let me see. Main problem I have with Loki joining Blackbeard is that Blackbeard is nothing like Rocks. Loki, if he talked too long enough with Blackbeard, would see the Blackbeard is not to be admired like his father. That is true. That is a very good point, though, Reese Lucas. I think that's a very good point. That's because I think here's the thing, and this is like one of the things I mentioned talking with my guys and stuff about this as well, is that let's say, for example, right, because Luffy, to be honest with y'all, like, Luffy's really the only person so far in Loki's life that has actually shown him like genuine care. You know what I mean? So I think if there was anything that was going to change Loki's minds and how he perceives things and looks at the world, and like if you had to join between one of the two, just off like how they've been treated and they talk and act to each other and stuff, you would think that what Luffy's doing right now is enough to kind of curtail him in his favor, or at least make him see that, yo, this is the real guy. Like, if anyone is closer to being Rocks, you can argue in some senses, maybe that it's an in between of both Blackbeard and Luffy, but Luffy kind of feels more of that. And I think Loki, if you were to look in that situation and think like, who would I rather be with? I think once he actually gets like the understanding of where kind of character and everything that Luffy actually is, I think that's something that he would definitely be looking at as a possibility. But the reason I say with Blackbeard, again, with that connection of Rocks and stuff, I think there's stuff about Blackbeard as well we also are not taking into effect too, because like right now this current backstory that we're getting, is going to be the layers that open up exactly what kind of person Blackbeard truly is. Because the whole time we've been looking at him as a villain, as evil, and what he's doing, he's just a pirate. But also at the same time, this is a revenge tour. This is him basically trying to get back at the world, the literal world, for everything being the way it is. For the atrocities that he saw when he was a kid, literally as a little kid, just seeing all the stuff that happened in the chapters we got to see, his family potentially dying before his eyes. And it would make so much sense why he was so gung-ho going after the Yami Yami no Mi, how much he wanted to become the Pirate King and all this other stuff that was there. But at the same time, that thing with Whitebeard when he said, like, you're not the one that Roger is waiting for, which again, go into the Joy Boy stuff that's there afterwards, there's got to be a lot more that we have to see after. I guess next chapter will be Roger and Garp versus the demonic rocks trying to stop him from killing his family, and Kaido and Big Mom trying to save him, and in the end, Garling will be the one who's going to strike him. I think so, yeah, with Sneak him, yeah, I could be seeing that. I could see that, but I think it's gonna be Garp. I think Garp is the one that gets his hero epithet of the Marines, and it's gonna be through that. So, but yeah, let's continue on with the thing, and then we'll go back into on chat. So we see the confrontation between the two of them, between Emu and with Rocks. This whole thing right here with Emu, I'm pretty sure they're seeing Davy Jones within Zebek. But Zebek, it's like, yo, I've never met the man, and I had to assume the guy had to have been at least from the Void Century in terms of, like, say, the earliest time in the story, or the first world, which again would speak volumes of how old Emu truly is. So it's one of those two. And then the thing, though, that we know about Rocks is that he is a worshiper of Davy Jones. So him saying that line that I believe promises are meant to be kept. And I'm pretty sure it could also go back to what he said during Marijoa when he invaded and said, one day I'm going to come back. So the promises could be that, but there could also be another meaning behind that too, if it involves Davy Jones. But then it goes on for Emu basically saying, like, this is the reason why in the annals of history, your people got to go. Like, you have to be gone. Like, it's over. It's GG's. So from there, they go and get the fight in. So they go in. You see Rocks comes in, slicing through one of the legs there from Saturn. I kind of wish in this moment right here, because I know once we go straight into the fight, Oda kind of like tinkers away a little bit back into what's going on with the others and everything. But it's like, I'm so mixed with it, right? Because I want to see fights. I understand that the anime is going to be a thing and they're going to be showcasing these fights in the way that they need to be done. But we're going to dive more into it as we get into it a little bit more in the chapter. Because then it kind of started to really enter my mind a little bit of how much, like, some of the stuff, you know, it in the long run didn't really jive me. Like, in the moment I'm reading this the first time, you're going to see my emotions, how I'm feeling about it. But when you actually go back and reread some of this stuff, you'll definitely get a second opinion of it. Loki could be a part of an ally in the Grand Fleet. The Giants are going to be in the Grand Fleet, and Loki could be like Kinemon and Momo on the ship to travel. Yeah, DJ, that's a possibility. I mean, we could see them join the Grand Fleet representing Elbaf there, possibly. But I do think that we need a little bit more than that right now in the crew, and he definitely would benefit possibly as a member, if anything. Exactly. Loki and Luffy shared a meal. Luffy invited Loki to join his crew. Loki rejected the first invitation. All those things are par for the course of a typical Straw Hat recruitment. Definitely. I definitely feel like it's more closer to seeing that happen compared to how we kind of saw the stuff with Yamato back in Wano, right? Yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie. I gotta get as much water as possible because, bro, we knew Yap, man. I'm telling you right now, man. Shout out to the H2O, bro. Because I don't know how some people can do it without the water, bro. It's just crazy. Zachary, what's going on, fam? What's going on? Our Garling stock's down. I'm disappointed with him. We'll definitely talk about him more and stuff, but I would definitely say right now the Garling stocks are not looking good. If you have to sell right now, definitely sell on the market. Let me see. If Joy Boy is like the Pirate King in the Void Century, what if the Pirate Queen in Nefertari is Nefertari Lily? In the current timeline, Pirate Queen is probably Vivi, and Luffy is the Pirate King. Well, that's the thing, DJ. If I talk about that, I'm definitely going to be spoiling a video I want to make at some point in time. So, but you're on the right course of how I also think about that entire thing between Lily, potentially with Joy Boy, and possibly stuff with Emu. So, yeah. But let me see. Isn't Harden already a Grand Fleet? Yeah, he's already with the Grand Fleet. But I'm saying, like, in a sense of, like, realistically, because of the fact that we know that Elbaf does not have like a true king, I think it's going to be made in a way where it's like, I don't think Loki becomes the king of Elbaf. Like, let's be honest. I know that he is like a prince and everything and all that, but I don't think he becomes king. Like, it's just not going to happen. So if somebody else was going to become that, I think Harden would make the most sense as someone that becomes, like, you know, the king of Elbaf, which would allow his position as a member of the Grand Fleet to be open for Loki to end up taking over afterwards, and he can enjoy all the battles and the combat that comes with it. So yeah, that's something that I think that could end up happening as well. But if not, then the best option you get from there afterwards is Loki joining with the Straw Hats. And the scariest situation is him possibly joining up afterwards with Blackbeard. So yeah. I think we're gonna get any more. I don't think we're gonna get any more long fights with the side characters than the main cast like Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji. And it's an unfortunate thing, DJ, because it's not like I've kind of made my peace at times with that we're not gonna get those fights and stuff. But it's like, dude, at the end of the day, I know it's an adventure manga. I talk about being the best adventure manga story ever, but like, bro, we got fights, bro. We're pirates. We got a squabble. I gotta see combat, and we're gonna talk about more when it comes to rocks and stuff, which is why that thing really comes up as something that kind of bugs me a little bit in the chapter. Where does Captain John rank in the power on Rox's crew? He got one shotted by a no-name. I mean, listen, man. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. I'll tell you that right now, man. In the moment, him having his like Magneto and Charles Xavier moment was absolutely fire. But yeah, bro, to get taken out by a Mr. 5 ability, and shout out to Mr. 5, because that bomb ability is actually good, if not for the boogers and stuff. But yeah, man. Loki goals are to destroy the world, and I think Loki doesn't care of being a king or a prince. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing we have to also take into consideration as well. That's his mentality right now, though. I think Luffy can definitely make a means of trying to change it if possible, right? Do you think that Imu mentioned Rox's wife and kid just to rage bait him to come closer? Albasha, I think that's something I'm of agreement with, and I don't know why it is that some people feel like, you know how, like, so I don't know if you guys been seeing this too, but there are people that feel that, why is it that, I guess this is, if I talk about it, I'm going straight into the topic of the video and stuff, because why the DOMI REVERSI thing works, because I definitely do think it works if the method of where Oda is going to go with it makes sense, but we're going to say that towards the end, so I don't give up the answer on that. But I'll definitely talk about that for sure, Albasha. I think we'll get to meet the man marked by flames. I don't know where the plot is going. I definitely do think that's going to come in time and stuff, but like if it happens, it's got to literally happen, I think, in this arc, maybe towards the end or something, but we'll see on that. But yeah, like I said again, transition from the fight that was going on right now, what got started between Rox and with Imu, and then cutting away to stuff afterwards with Garp, which again, I know like him having that look afterwards of like, it's a look of interest, but not like seriousness though, right? But I guess like that's the persona that with Garp, it's like the type of person that he is, he's like, he's not going to take too much into like looking worried, because again, he has to look like someone that is standing on business, that's going to be a protector of the people, right? That's like the thing that people always look at him as, right? I think that's something that I think I'm taking into account with his personality and stuff, where I'm kind of giving him like the leeway of it, because realistically, anybody that's seeing all this stuff that's right here that goes against what their beliefs are or what they stand for and everything, this will be the moment that really breaks them. Like, what am I witnessing? Like, what is going on right now, right? I think one day someone will use the Sora AI to make their own One Piece version. I hope not, because that would just be, listen, man, there's stuff for AI you can use that could be decent, but I'm not trying to see that, to be honest. I'm not trying to see that. But yeah, so again, saw this up with Garpus there. And then going into the chapter, continuing on afterwards, you see all the other pirates are going after each other and everything. Some of them are taking treasures, some of them are just competing against each other. Captain John, this stuff right here, I'm not going to lie to you. First time reading it, I thought he was about to give himself up in terms of helping out with the Rocks Pirates and others try to escape. But you saw the true nature there when it comes to the Rocks Pirates. These guys are in for themselves. And maybe not a true betrayal, but it's like, you already know, pirates are pirates at the end of the day. And the stuff afterwards, when you see with Dragon and Shanks, and I'm not going to lie to you, we're going to get more into it afterwards. But I really wish this chapter was not the end of that duel together, because I was of the hope that maybe one day we're going to get a panel or something in the series that shows, Dragon and Shanks talking to each other, reminiscing about that, even though I don't think Shanks at all probably even remembers that. Maybe the CTE definitely had an effect on him when he fell and everything. Because I want to say that Dragon might remember. I would have to imagine Dragon might remember the fact that he helped some kind of baby with red hair get out of a situation, and then he remembers after it's Shanks. So that would be kind of fire if that was the case. But as you see right afterwards, he was going to go straight towards a Navy ship after to deploy Shanks over there, which again, it's kind of crazy if you think that in that one panel that you could have had the moment potentially of Dragon, basically a what if scenario of Shanks being a Marine. You know how crazy that actually just sounds? It's like, he could have kept on with the Celestial Dragons with Shamrock and turn out to be a monster just like his brother. He could have been a Marine and kind of tipped the toes of being one or the other, but he became the thing that nobody expected, I guess, at least from his family, and that's him becoming a pirate after. So, as you see there, the medal being grabbed by, because I was so confused at this point what was going on, if he dragged his feet, if something was going on, but he gets pulled. And to me, is one of the coolest panels that you're going to see in this series for me. Like, at least in terms of like focusing on what's happening in the moment and everything. Angel Manning with the 9.99, brother. I greatly appreciate it, bro. Angel, I know you always come in with the donations, bro. Listen, if you got a question, anything you want to ask as well, man, please feel free, brother. I greatly appreciate the donations as always, man. When you guys are donating, bro, it helps out a lot with the streams, in terms of stuff that we're trying to take care of and everything with the channel and stuff, man. So, and of course, helps in my day-to-day life, man. So I greatly appreciate any and all support y'all show my way, man. Greatly appreciate it. But dude, this panel right here, though, that you get with Captain John, like literally, man, it's Charles Xavier X Magneto. That man said, "To me, my treasure. Big Eater, to me, my treasure." I'm sorry. Even if he gets washed after the fact, this was so cool to see. Like, just like you already know, the anime, I hope they go in with this at least. Now, whether he had mastery or not with this Devil Fruit, I don't know, bro. I generally don't know. That's something for me that I feel like, if anything, let me see. You know, if anything, after it's like, if he's gonna have like mastery and stuff, I think those are stuff, unfortunately, that Oda's gonna probably put in SBS. I would have loved him actually see use his abilities and stuff, but again, there's a time and place, unfortunately, in Oda's mind of what's important or not, and I've made my peace with that. I'm not gonna sit and argue on that all the time. But yeah, so you know that he has the powers that are there. Roger noticing, well, he's continuously trying to go on. It looks like for me, he's tugging onto a sword as much as possible to protect it from being gone and everything. So yeah, it's just kind of funny that, you know, of all the people that are like being pulled away from it and stuff too, is like Shanks and the dragon and then Garp, which again is kind of an interesting thing because I look at this from a different perspective and stuff, right? And it's such a, it's like, I could be waffling, I could be, you know, begging it possibly, but I just find it fascinating that somebody with a magnet ability was able to pull Shanks and Dragon, but Shanks purposely, and then Roger with the ace all together. Just think about that for a second, right? Shanks and Roger were being pulled together and not knowingly that either way they were going to be connected to one another. I think that's like stuff like that. I don't know, man. I absolutely love when you get the time to really process those things. And like, again, interpretations is literally the beautiful thing when it comes to stories, because I could look at something one way and think of these things and someone could be like, you're wildin'. So yeah. Let me see real quickly. What if Loki meant destroy the world? He meant Emu. That's possible, Zabi. Yep, that is very possible. He could have meant that he was talking about Emu the entire time. I wouldn't be surprised if Loki saw what Emu looked like. I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. That's what they saw, what they looked like. You think that one day was so, yeah, so I saw that comment there. I guess the Marines are gonna report Shanks back to the world government. If, well, what do you mean? Like in the current time, Albasha, or if you mean like back then? So the Marines are gonna report Shanks. Well, see, that's the thing. That's the other thing too, Albasha, is that if they go, well, depends on who gets them. Let's say if it was Garp that got his hands on Shanks, then he probably would have recruited him and like done what Sengoku had with Corazon. Because I'm pretty sure I could be wrong on this, but Sengoku was aware that Corazon was of Don Quixote lineage, right? I want to say that they were possibly, but that could have been a scenario we could have saw where Garp would have had Shanks under his tutelage in the same way that he had with Aokiji, but that's more like after the events of God Valley, and obviously he was a lot older and everything, right? But yeah. Chandra, what's going on? Hey, it's my theory, but no one's mentioning, but I think Harold is going to play a part at the end of God Valley, maybe save Eris, etc. Because, you know, the only reason for this flashback is Elbaf. It's possible for sure, Chandra. I think that's something that I could see end up happening. We have to definitely see Harold, though, in this flashback. In the last moments in God Valley, he has to pull up. Like, because I know because he got hit and attacked by rocks in the scrimmage and stuff that they had before the events that began. But I do think he has to come back at some point in time soon. For back then, yeah. So I mean, that's the thing. It all depends, Albasha, like who exactly would have been the one to report it. If it was Garp that had found them, I don't think they would have reported it, especially fresh off what they learned during the God Valley incidents. It wouldn't be like that. But then again, it's like, it's weird because like if they had saw someone with red hair, somebody would have noticed that probably. But then again, they're always so stuck within HQ or like in areas where nobody's gonna be paying attention from the world government, right? So you would have to be a tattletale basically to go and tell the ops what happened. But anyways, so we see the stuff that's happening after with Gonzui, which again, I'm glad I started remembering these guys' names and stuff, but I'm so used to calling him the smuggler. But Gonzui comes in, and it was so weird, right? Because I didn't look at the booger initially, because when he was doing the flick, I thought he had some like sound wave ability, something like, I don't know, I want to say like exactly like Scratch from a Pooh style, but something close to, right? But then as you see the thing right there, yeah, he actually had a bomb laced up on that booger with the Mr. 5 ability and stuff. And shout out to him, he got an upscale. But the attack comes in right after, and he obliterates Captain John. So I think it's a safe bet to say that Captain John probably died in this manner. So they definitely were killed right after. Otherwise, it's like how they come back and stuff. I don't know, but yeah, just crazy stuff right there that Gonzui actually ended up doing that to Captain John. Because you remember world government ships there with Garp's fleet. Yeah, and I mean there again, if that was Garp's fleet that he had found Dragon at the time initially, then he would have been saved. Otherwise, maybe there's a chance that they would have reported back. But so yeah, so then you see that happening, and then you get to Dragon afterwards with Shanks. Everyone's getting pulled apart after because of what happened with the ability now being stopped and all that. He bangs into a tree, and then we see after the fact of what happens, which again was kind of weird how Oda went about this, because you see him holding on to Shanks as much as possible, and then we saw what happened afterwards. So how he slipped out and everything, I don't know. So yeah, it's a little bit weird how that kind of just happened there, but I don't know. But then yeah, so you see afterwards with Shiki confronting Gonzu about what happens, like, yo, why are you attacking your mans and stuff? But then when he kind of realizes, like, you know, how much money is there with the billions and all that, and he's like, hey man, you know what? I understand Captain John. And then Gonzu is like, yeah, I hear that, but I gotta get you out of here too. So it's kind of safe to assume that Shiki probably got him out of here, which I think is probably the most likely scenario that ended up happening during this encounter. Let me see. Someone made this theory up, and I've seen it. What if the national treasure of Mary Joie is Davy Jones' heart, and Doflamingo said the lost fruit is the key to it? So what exactly would that do though, DJ? If it was Davy Jones' heart, what is it like? I don't know. I think the national treasure is such a weird thing to me, because like I remember like before thinking of the idea that it could be Uranus, because I think that would probably be the most likely option. If it's like this UFO thing that's going off and destroying Lelucia and all these different islands, especially God Valley, I feel like you got to be having something there that's got to equate to it being like a big thing. Like it's got to be massive. We're talking about a national treasure that's being gassed up as something of like grand importance, that like if Doflamingo got possession of that national treasure, from what I remember, he could have controlled the world. He would have been like on top of his game and stuff. So that's something that he had to go ahead and just like do whatever he could, getting Curry favor back of the Celestial Dragons and all that. But I don't know what it could have been, right? But Doflamingo again has a lot of answers that we need to him explain in due time. Yeah, Booger D TNT is a hilarious name, bro. Booger D and TNT, bro. By the way, I appreciate y'all sticking around and stuff and everything. I know that we've been yapping and stuff, of course, as per what Yap Piece and everything, but yeah, I appreciate y'all coming through and everything, man. Like the stream if you guys have been enjoying as well. But let's continue on. So we see Shiki's being attacked. We have to assume what's happening afterwards, right? Now, this is the part. It's like I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. It's a shonen manga and stuff. Like you can't go into one tone completely and whatever. But at the same time, it's like this is a serious matter of what's happening with this fight, and you're having all these Marines holding on to each other, trying to prevent Garp from going off and doing his own stuff. And it's like, yo, he looks like a pest to me. And it's like, brother, it's like, bro, he should be running through those people. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, for me, it's like, I think it's just the wrong tone that Garp or Oda is using for Garp in these moments. You gotta be taking this stuff seriously, bro. You're seeing this crazy deity pulling up on you, and it's like, you're taking it as a joke, at least in the way that you interpret with the writing. So, I don't know. I would have gotten more serious with this stuff here with Garp personally, but again. But then afterwards, you see the stuff right here after with Rocks. Of course, he's continuing off his fight in the background, which again, it's like I would have loved to see, like, I know it's asking a lot, but like somebody smoothing around and actually seeing what's happening, that would be cool for me. That would be cool for me. Actually, going to see the smoothing of that's a fight. That's a fight, bro. Like you got to show me those things, man. But then Kaido pulls up afterwards, and then of course Big Mom pulls up, and then we get everybody else pulling up. 6 of the great legends of that time. Some of them weren't what they were now in the present, what we know them for, but in the annals of history that we're going to remember when it comes to piracy, when it comes to the Marines, or just the world itself. You got Charlotte Linlin, you got Kaido, you got Whitebeard, you got Rox, you got Roger, and you got Garp. All of them about to unleash named attacks at this great deity that lays before their eyes, the world itself. I'm sorry, but this was still one of the most hype moments in the entire story right here. Regardless of what we feel about little things here and there and everything, but I turned this page and seeing this right here before my eyes is one of the coolest things you could possibly think of, bro. You're talking about 6 of the great legends. When you talk about the top 30 list for pound, the best fighters in the entire story and everything, you're seeing 6 of them that will probably be in the top 6. That's how crazy it is, bro. You get a Galaxy Impact. You get a Divine Departure. Pandemonium of the Abyss. Bro, you know how crazy this is? For the first time in the story, and I'm pretty sure this also confirms it too, unless we have to go back and see older chapters and everything, and not, obviously, of course, take video games as reference and stuff. But this is the first time in the history of the story we're seeing Whitebeard with a named attack. That boy said Shattering Void. Shattering Void. Do you know how raw that sounds? He is going to shatter you so bad that there's nothing left. You in the void, bro. So stuff like this is like, bro, like the Yokoku Silverton and stuff, right? For Big Mom, you already know the vibes. And then Dragon Breath, I would have to assume that's there from Kaido. So it's like, first time him using it. But even then, bro, all of them are laying these attacks. And again, I always go and say this. Any other person, like when we say what the girls say when they take a hit, when the Yonkos were taking certain hits, any other person outside of that one that's taking the attacks are dead. They're obsolete. It's a one-shot. It's done. From the top ranks. That's why we're seeing these attacks to show you how crazy they are, because anything of lesser value is gone, is obsolete. And they came close. They came close, bro. Look how much was left right there of Emu, bro. I know that like on the screen you might not be able to see it too much and everything that's there, but it's like, brother, look at this. Look how much was left. They almost caught a dub. They almost caught a dub, bro. And then they realized after with Emu, especially Emu in that moment realizing, I can't play games with them. These are 6 monsters. I don't know what I am, but I don't know what you are. And they go in and just start doing the Conqueror's Hockey Blast of Doom, bro. Like, this thing looks crazy, and I know in the anime it's going to be even more insane when we actually get to see all this pan out after. But my God, bro. How did we feel, by the way, about that double spread? I'm very curious to know what you guys think of that moment there in the fight, or at least in what we saw, what was going on. Just let me know how we think of that, so I read some more of the comments. It's been years since the Reverie arc, so now with all the info that we have, what do you think the giant straw hat in Emu's custody means? I think the safest bet I can say now, that's Davy Jones' hat. That's Davy Jones' hat. I think that's the safest bet. If it's not Joy Boys, it's Davy Jones. I think that's probably the safest bet. Because at the same time, you can say it might be Joy Boys based on the fact that we saw the Enrith, right? It was Enrith, the robot and stuff, right? The talk that they had and everything back in the past and stuff. They were wearing like a similar hat and everything. Unless like Joy Boy, when he died, turned to a giant or something, and his hat just got bigger and something happened, whatever. I don't know. How do you explain that? Because that hat is monstrophic, right? So like it has to be of significance to somebody of the story of its importance. So I think the likely person that you want to put that down to is either going to be Joy Boy or Davy Jones, but I'm going to lean to Davy Jones because of the look that we saw of some of his people, at least with Rox and the families and stuff after, the big dude that we saw there. Like, it feels like they are like somewhat tied maybe to the Buccaneers, which would speak volumes of like, it would actually change how I would feel in some ways, that talk between Bonnie and Blackbeard a little bit, if it was actually revealed in some ways that like little bits of, well, I can't really say completely, but it's like someone that was family with a Buccaneer, or at least adopted by someone with a Buccaneer, was actually in contact with someone who may have ties to a Buccaneer, possibly, right? So, bro, whew, we're running through this water, man. But yeah, let me just say, yeah. So that's where my thoughts are on that. So Dragon can't feel his arm. He got injured 2 chapters ago, so I guess this is the reason he just hold to anything. Hey, bro. My man Dragon, bro, we're gonna get to in a sec, bro. But it's It's tough. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's tough. It's tough. I have to cope, but hey, man, it's tough out here, bro. Um, it's the OG big three and the three uncles. Facts, facts, facts. It makes sense why Joy Boy is the very first pirate. My guy got emu having PTSD. I was on his knees, sweating like from tie knot hockey. Yeah, I mean, listen, bro. We were already told ahead of time that to damage these people with immortality and all that, just Supreme Hockey needs to be in there. Whether what that means exactly, how it affects the properties, how that whole stuff actually works is stuff that Oda actually has to demonstrate in the story. And that's why I feel like the fights have to start mattering more because when you're doing these kind of attacks, we have to understand why they work through actual display. You know what I'm saying? So those little things are why I think we need to start getting these fights to start becoming more important again, not just with Luffy, but everybody else that's involved, right? So that's kind of like where I'm with it. Yeah, actually turn this up a little bit. Do you think the dragon seen the rock attack his wife and kid, and also why he was telling Kuma a child as a parent's a weak spot, or maybe I'm looking too deep into it? They could have been paralleled at the same time, but I think because of that moment happened, because we already got the moment with Kuma, and the moment with Saturn and Kuma actually happened before the events of what we're seeing right now. So we're actually seeing ahead of time of where we are at the moment in the story. So I think that I don't know. I think we might. It could that could be the case though. Like Dragon might have also seen that moment happen. Again, that's why I bring up to the multiple perspective things, which I think is going to be very important. Right? Is that Blackbeard saw Gar probably kill Rocks and holds a vendetta against him. Harold saw the truth of what actually happened, and maybe Dragon even saw the truth of what ended up happening, and has his own resentment towards Gar for possibly staying behind. Even though we know that they're on talking terms, I definitely think it's something that's is going to offer many different ways on how you want to look at it through the different characters that see the moment happen, which is where I think Oda could go with it. So yeah, I really want Oda to give us a Joy Boy versus Emu full fight in the Void Century. Like we need to see Joy Boy fight and possibly get a different fighting style from Luffy. That's I feel like DJ would be the dream, and I'm hoping Oda doesn't skirt around that because I feel like if you do that, man, then I think it's hard to really take these fights into any consideration when it's just Luffy and Shala. That's all it really is, man. I would hope though that Luffy isn't the only one that's going to be getting these continuous fights and actually getting to see what's going on, because we need to see everybody else go in and contribute, man. It's a pirate manga. Battles happen, fights happen. It's war, bro. It's like you got to get these guys involved, man. So yeah, I'm hoping that like in the Void Century, like certain fights we actually get to see. So saw that scene again, and I seen the dragon face. Yeah. Yeah, it was the first time. Joy Boy said during the Emeth, yeah, I don't know why I say Enrith, but Emeth flashback, I'm gonna gather the most powerful hockey and then tie the knot into you. So Joy Boy actually just gathering different levels of hockey in the Void Century. It's possible that he may even have more than that out there in the world. Maybe on a poneglyph, maybe like somewhere else, like a different item, possibly. But the fact that he can imbue his own hockey into items and stuff, I think is such a crazy thing that doesn't get talked about enough. But also something that Oda won't probably get into enough until maybe like Luffy does something similar. Whether it's through the Nika Nika Nomi that allows him to do that, whether it's something with hockey when you fully master it and able to will it to your own existence, I don't know how that goes. Yeah, absolute cinema facts. I wish we get a doubles page spread with all 10 or 11 of those Straw Hats fighting a single foe and doing a combined attack like that. It would be legendary. Chandra, I think the last time we got that, I think was during the fight with Oars back in was it Thriller Bark? I'm pretty sure that was one of the last times I think we've seen something like that. I think if not, I'll be surprised if we've never seen that in the story, because again, right now it's probably missing in my mind if a moment like that happens. But I'm pretty sure we had saw something similar happen like that before, right? I don't know. That'd be very interesting if that wasn't the case. But yeah, so let me show the other part right here after for this, because this is the stuff that I want to talk about also too, because I need to defend my boy somewhat, even though it's not looking good right now. So, as you guys can see, right? It's not looking good. It's not looking good, bro. So, as you see, everybody else is getting taken out from the marine side and stuff. You see members of the Roger Pirates afterwards are about to start getting off and getting out of the island. Shaki and Rayleigh, we still have no idea what the little thing was that they were talking about before. They got to balance. They got to get out of here, man. So yeah, so they're saying to look alive, treasures all over the place, go get what you need and everything. But hey, Rayleigh, he the most important thing right now is in his hands, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, man. But This stuff right here and what you're seeing, where Dragon pulls up and he's holding onto this log, and I'm just like, oh man, because I was the same feeling I had when I first read it. It's still here and it's even worse, bro. Because my guy is holding onto a log. I don't know how it happened. I don't know if Shanks unlocked what is this, substitute jutsu or Kimbo Shuku, whatever it is, right? I don't know what he did. I don't know how he did it. And the only thing I would give him the benefit of the doubt on, and let me see if I can find the panel. Let me go back one before we go to the thing. Do you remember this panel? This is all the way in page 10. Page 10 of the chapter. Because you can see right there on the side that he basically hits something. I don't know if it's a treasure chest. I don't know if it's like something else entirely. I can't tell what the black thing that's right there where Shanks's back is and stuff that's hitting. If it's like his leg, he's crossed over or something. I don't know what that's supposed to be. But again, it's very difficult to see what that exactly is. But you get from here though. So after like how that happens, I don't know. Oda has got to tell me, like, you know, the Shanks have substitute jutsu. I don't know, bro. But it doesn't look good for Dragon that he allowed that to happen. But as you see right after, Munchkin Shanks, listen, bro. He's absolutely adorable as a kid, but it's like, it's so insane to me that all this chaos right now is going on. Like, I can look at this one panel all the way on the corner of Imu wilding out in this demonic spider form, releasing Conqueror's Haki, and then you have this kid that sees gold for the first time in his life, and he's like locked in. He's like, yo, this means more to me than you'll ever know. And we can all interpret from there that this is where he ends up in the treasure chest and then ends up with the Roger Pirates after the fact. But what do you guys make of the whole thing that we saw there regarding what happened with Shanks and Dragon? Do you think that Dragon loses points possibly for allowing that to happen? Because honestly, man, it's like, damn, bro. Like, yo, you had one job, brother. Like, come on, man. I understand. I know he was a rookie and everything, and it's tough, but it's like, damn, bro. Because it would have been nice if Dragon was the one to put him in the treasure chest and stuff. Like, I was really hoping that would be the moment. But, hey, bro, at the end of the day, man, like, if this is the way that Oda wants to go about it, he wants to go about it like this. It just sucks there for Dragon that he couldn't really say, like, a proper goodbye and stuff. And whether or not Shanks remembers him or not, it's to be seen. Yeah, Shanks doesn't get knocked out by Imu's Haki, and also knew the substitution jutsu when he was like 1 or 2 years old, and is interested in treasure. Definition of built different. That is facts. That is absolutely facts, bro. Yo, the fact that, again, I don't know what it is. Maybe the babies are maybe a little bit different because they can't comprehend what's going on. But then again, he is the child of destiny. So I think that's another thing that also comes into play here as well, why it doesn't affect him. But also because I guess like it's not far enough to reach him because Imu's focusing the Haki on just directly into that one place. So the emits of whatever is that's there aren't reaching where Shanks is. But then again, if it's part of that Child of Destiny thing, bro, hey, man, my boy built different, bro. I know what to tell you, man. I know what to tell you. Okasan definitely did her job, man. But we still don't like Garling in this house. Yeah, let me see. Wano arc was a disappointment. We didn't get all that. Straw Hats fighting, Kaido having no combined attack with the weak members too. Yeah, I mean, that was the thing I didn't like about that DJ. I would have loved to have seen at least one combined attack. And actually, that would have been a thing I would have loved to have seen. It's like the whole crew actually fighting Kaido. But I'm not going to jump onto Wano anytime, man. Anytime. Let me see. Is there anything else I'm missing here? I actually want to see a Dragon Devil Fruit. Well, actually, him eating a Devil Fruit. I think it's still an option, DJ. I think we could still see something like that happen. Like, let's say like he's at death's door and a Devil Fruit's right before his eyes. I think he goes ahead and eats it. Because otherwise, that needs to be explained what exactly kind of ability he has. I know the Wind Logia is something that I do have a big belief that he has that power. But I want to see how it goes about it. But anyways, as we see here after, Shanks got his whole thing afterwards with the treasure chest, so we know he's going to be there. And then we go into what is the final pages of this chapter. Imu coming out from the darkness and everything, from the attacks that they suffered. I mean, granted, we have to see what exactly this form realistically is. If this is all Imu is, I don't know. But, like, there's definitely got to be more to it. But anyways, you see Imu coming right back up into it after. Kaido and Big Mom just going at each other and stuff about the fruits and, you owe me this and da-da-da and everything. So we already know where the payback and stuff comes from afterwards. But Imu then plays into the thing that I don't think a lot of people are taking into account enough. Maybe because of, like, the dislike for DOMI REVERSI, but we're going to get into that in a sec. So I'm going to speak from y'all in a wrestling standpoint. If you are a villain and you're trying to attack the hero, and you're trying to make them feel as horrible as you humanly can, What is the one spot that will always torment somebody the most that they know is a weakness? And it's something that Dragon has stated to Kuma before. A child is a parent's weak spot. He went for the very thing that he knew was going to bother Rocks, and that's going after Iris and going after Teach. They were still on the island. I presumed that they were still going to be on the island. There was no way they were going to run off to Lelouch just like that. And it's clear as day that they were going to go and start marking for them because they know how much they meant to Rocks. And you can see right there in Rocks' face, he's pissed at the fact that that's going to happen. So he targets for them, but Rocks is like, no, not in the case. Now, again, him going in for the slice and attack, again, any other person that he's doing a Trunks to Frieza moment right now, it's a Wari-Da. Game over. But then this is where it got interesting because I had thought initially that Garp was going to be the one that was going to get hit with the DOMI REVERSI based on the swooshing and what was going on, that he was going to get hit. Like him and Roger possibly, and then that's where Rocks is going to have to try and fight these two guys on his own in DOMI REVERSI style to protect his family. But that wasn't the case. Instead, we see in that moment right there, Imu comes in, swishes right into them afterwards. Basically has found a way to take control because obviously it was either the circles that they would fall under that we saw before with Gunko and the Elbathian Giants. But in this case, they were able to get onto them afterwards at the last second when they weren't thinking straight. And it's normal. They caught him off guard. That's all it is, bro. When you get caught off guard, bro, you can't do anything about that. So that's where it was, man. He got caught afterwards. And it's weird, right? Because he goes and mentions like, yo, this stuff doesn't even hurt. Like what you did, you passed right by me. But again, that's all Imu needed to do. All he needed to do. And it's like, hey, man, if I'm not going to be the one that goes and gets him out of here, trust me, I'll make sure it's you that does it. And then this is where it comes into play, DOMI REVERSI. And we see at the end of the chapter there that he is now starting to completely turn, and Iris and Teach are in grave danger. Now, we go into the main topic of why I think DOMI REVERSI works. Because I've seen this being talked about before, and I took into consideration, and I think it makes a lot of sense, that DOMI REVERSI that we have seen thus far seems like an ability that requires, again, a demon, devil, whatever it may be. This is some kind of power that they were bestowed. We saw the markings and stuff of how they transport and get to places and everything. We know about the book and stuff that I think Gunko was the one that has possession of that allows them to use spells and stuff and all those different things. That is something to do with like the oculate, the demon thing, whatever it may be, and that kind of stuff, like in that entire realm, right? The DOMI REVERSI thing is fascinating to me because when I think of the people that have been hit by this thing, so the Elbathian Giants and so far Rocks, what is the one thing that they have all in common between the two of each other when they got hit with the DOMI REVERSI? They don't have devil fruits. Why do I think that's important? Is because I've been of the belief that going back to the first world, when they talk about how, you know, the gifts and pleasures and like the whole thing of like those lights and stuff that are going up elevators and whatever, that is supposed to be like the devil fruit powers that eventually become what they become afterwards, right? The DOMI REVERSI is instilling a demon or a devil within a person and taking control of them. So in a way, you're planting a devil within somebody without the power. The same way that a smile fruit doesn't give you the ability of anything, but you lose it. Did our thing freeze? Hold on a sec. Did the stream freeze? One sec, guys. One sec, guys. Did the stream just freeze on us? Hold on. One sec, one sec. I just seen the stream just freeze right now. I don't know if something just happened on the background. Let me know if we're good. Let me know if we're good. Let me know if we're good. Did it F? Did it F? We're good? Let me know if we're good. Let me know if we're good. Let me know if we're good. Because that was crazy. I brought this in. Yeah, quick buffer. That's all it was. We're good? Let me know if we're good. Let me know if we're good. We're good? We're good? Let me know. Yeah, stream. Okay, we're good. Okay. Imu is definitely talking. Imu is definitely talking. So let me cover this actually right now. And let me go here. Let me go, let me go here. This is a good, this is a good way to transition right back to where we need to be because we have no idea. We have no idea if Imu right now is making a boss call and trying to get us out of here, bro. Because that feels like the situation that we might be in. Anyways, I don't know if you guys had heard all that part, so I'm going to go back and say it again. So DOMI REVERSI, the way that I think this works is that people who don't have devil fruits are being planted devils and demons by the person of Emu into them afterwards, right? So yeah, Emu's taking over. Facts, bro. Emu is definitely taking over. We're doing to rocks what they're about to try and do to me. So what I'm trying to say is that the Domi Reversi is that with the Elbathians and stuff, right? The ones that got taken over and everything and turned into demons, they didn't have devils or demons themselves. That's like they were given powers and whatever. So because I think this almost makes sense that Emu is probably one of the reasons why devil fruits even work in a sense, where they're the ones who are planting actual people into those fruits. And instead of planting them into fruits, they're planting them in actual people. So I think that's what that is. And that's why it worked on Rocks, because Rocks doesn't have a devil fruit. They don't have a quote unquote devil or demon within them. So I think that's the only way you can probably make sense of it whatsoever. Because then I see people afterwards saying, okay, so why didn't he go after Roger? Why didn't he go after Garb? Why didn't he go after X, Y, and Z? Bro, at the end of the day, he went for the person that they had beef with. Who pulled up in his ends? Who pulled up on Emu back all the way in Marijoa, back in the freaking the Pangaea Castle, whatever his ends were? It was Zebek. It wasn't Roger. It wasn't Garp. It was literally Zebek. Somebody came into your house. They sat on your couch, eating out of your food. Took from your fridge. They took your 2-for-1s and stuff, bro. And you're telling me like, yo, this is not a get back? We got people that ride in the hood and gangs and all this stuff. And you're talking about you don't know what a get back is? This is a perfect get back right here, man. Perfect might be a stretch, but even then, this is a get back though. Like, I just generally feel that like when people talk about the Domi Reversi not making sense whatsoever, and again, I'm saying it towards a certain section of the fan base and stuff because I do feel that people that are only reading the spoilers and not actually reading the content of the manga, you cannot have a genuine conversation with some of these people. I'm just gonna put it out there, man. Like if I were to read a storybook, let's say Lord of the Rings, and I'm telling you something that you're looking at, you're like, I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me because I'm reading from the goddamn wiki versus you who's actually read the books. You're going to call somebody out on that stuff and you'll be like, why am I having this conversation? It's the same way I feel with some folks in the community where you're literally just talking out of your ass about what's being written down in little words here and there that's not actually fully in the story. You're getting excerpts from a guy who should probably be right now in Impel Down level 7, who's been ruining the experience of the One Piece community, and Radon has to get out of here, bro. It's just simple as that. So you have that's happening, but then it's like, bro, it's like you have to be reading the content of the story for me to actually like have an engagement, a talk with you about this stuff that's going on. And I feel that's something that's really affected the community so much, man. Is that a lot of the negativity that we're seeing right here is from people that are not even reading the source material properly. And I say properly in the sense you're not even reading the source material. You're not reading page by page what's going on and trying to have these conversations. We're talking about like broken telephone and all the stuff that's happening. We can't do this. We can't do this, bro. You know, I always love talking One Piece about anybody and stuff, but when I see those things afterwards, it makes me want to avoid it so much. And I feel like that's what the thing with the Domi Reversi. It's like it's becoming a thing after that people are using as a ways to try and do like to say Oda doesn't know what he's doing, whatever. But as again, I feel like you have to kind of give this guy some bit of time because again, a character like this, you're not going to just be spoon fed everything that's happening all in this one moment. You have to give it time. And granted, I know it is a wait. I know we're like 1,163 chapters into the story, but I feel like the stories that are just they give you the answer the second it happens, and then what follows up afterwards ends up not amounting to anything. You kill all interest afterwards, and a story like One Piece has to stay prevalent on that stuff. So that's my whole piece on it, man. But yeah, that's where I'm at with it. That's where I'm at with it, man. So let me just bring this back over here so I can actually see things a little bit more properly from y'all and stuff. And again, I appreciate y'all guys sticking around and everything through the stream and everything. I know we had a little bit of difficulties right there with, you know, Emu trying to do what they can to try and get us out of here, man. But hey, bro, I'm trying my absolute hardest to make sure that's it's not going to be the case, man. People not reading the source material, they're just here for the fights. Agenda is fun, but it's going too far sometimes, is knowing. I don't even think it has to do with agenda. I'm going to be honest with y'all. I don't think it has anything to do with agenda. Because my thing is like, if you have an enjoyment of this series, right? Agenda or not, it's all down to your interpretation. Agenda, I feel like you separate from everything that's going on, and it's like a whole different thing. Where it's like the conversation I just see is just people just trying to shit on it. It has nothing to do with agendas whatsoever. I generally don't think that's gonna be the case. Because if it was agenda, bro, it's like, come on, like what are you doing, right? But it's just people that are not being honest with themselves with this, like about how they are absorbing the information from the story, because again, you're either playing broken telephone, you're either reading spoiler papers and stuff, bro. It just doesn't do anything for me, man. But that's just where I'm at with it, bro. Like, I will always love to talk with anybody about the series and stuff, but it's like when you're doing nonsense like that, bro, I don't know what else to say. But yeah. But the Domi Reversi, long story short, if it affects people that don't have devil fruits whatsoever, and that's the best way that you can try and like take control of them for their own schemes and all that, I think that's the best way that Oda can go about that. Because otherwise, it's like everybody that's there should have been hit completely, with getting hit with the Domi Reversi and turning into demons and all that. Even though we did see with Rox's family, they were taken like covered up as the Domi Reversi and then being attacked after the fact. You kind of had to get your family out the way, unfortunately, because you had no chance there. But even still, but yeah, that's kind of like where my thing is with it. I think it definitely would make sense if that's the way that Oda wants to go about it. But when are we going to get that answer is going to be key. And I feel like he has to do that eventually soon, because otherwise, I don't know, man. It's a lot to process in terms of like what it could be and what it can't be, for sure. But yeah, I'm very curious to know what you guys think. Also, with the Sweets chapters, anything I didn't talk about too much into, you want to talk about, let me know. Are you guys down for predictions for 1164? Because we could definitely do that today at the same time and talk about what we think could end up happening in the next chapter based off the events here. So I'll give mine for the predictions as well. So I think the likely thing, if we're going by the pacing of what's happening right now, I think it's likely we're going to see Rocks. I'm going to say there's a chance that Iris could die next chapter. And if we're going to move the pacing a little bit, I think we're going to see the moment Iris dies, whether it be through Rocks, whether it be through Emu or something. I think that's possibly a situation I think could happen. I think that happens. I think Shanks ends up in the treasure chest. I think Dragon will probably end up seeing what's going on with Garp and all them and head towards their direction, all that. I think we get Harold at the end of the chapter pulling up on the island when things are about to get too dire. But I think the main thing we're going to see is probably either Eris dying or just getting to see Roger and Garp team up to take on Rocks. I think that's almost like a given I could see happening. In terms of like extra stuff afterwards, maybe Dragon Gang is Dofru will be a cool thing to see happen. But I think the focus is mainly going to be on what's going on with Rocks and him in his demon form, and then how Garp and Roger are going to have to team up and see the reason why they team up to face them. Do you think that Emu just uses others to win? Like against Nika and then with Joy Boy and the Void Sentry, Emu doing Domi Reversi of Sunisha, Emeth, and that's why Emeth is apologizing. That would explain also too the sin of what Sunisha did that forced them to walk like the earth and stuff for so long. So I think that's something that I could see being a possibility that's there, that they were just using it and spamming on people that didn't have devil fruits whatsoever. But I don't know. The Ancient Kingdom is interesting to me with the races and stuff that are there, because I feel like there's a chance that there were people, obviously, like there were people that had dull fruits. There were people that actually had powers and all that stuff back then. So I think it's likely that they might have had something happening back then that allowed them to use all that stuff afterwards, against them and everything. But there were definitely parties that probably didn't have dull fruits that end up getting attacked, with the Domi Reversi and up being switched over after. So yeah, I can see that being a possibility there. But yeah, if you guys have anything else you want to ask or whatever in terms of like other questions and stuff, your predictions. Let me know your predictions of 1164 real quick, because we have that pretty much, and then we can probably get up out of here afterwards. Because I feel like we talked about I basically talked about everything I need to talk about regarding 1163 and then the stuff with the Domi Reversi. So because I'll say this right now, this chapter is still great in terms of like what it's setting up for and what it's been portraying and stuff. It's great, but I definitely could see the flaws that it definitely has, and that's something that's being co-current with what's been happening in the series for such a long period of time. Where it's like, if we're seeing all this stuff right now between these fights not happening on screen, or they're getting phased out too quickly, or certain explanations are not happening on time, especially with how long we've been going on for, I feel like you kind of have to do a little bit more, at least from Oda's standpoint, that you guys just start showing things and explaining things a little bit better, so that people are not left asking questions so much of what's going on and it's not playing out. So I think chapter 1160. Oh, you have 5. I'm assuming this is 4. Oh, so yeah, 1165 is where he's going to take a break. Rocks dies, have a speech moment at the end. That's my prediction. I'm not hoping to see a full fight with Roger and Garp versus Rocks, maybe a bit. I definitely would love to see that. Like, it is asking a lot with current Oda in this day and age, but it's like, bro, I gotta see them squabble. I gotta see a 2v1, bro. Like, I have to see it happen, man. Because my thing is, and I also didn't, I wanted to bring it up earlier and I almost lost my thought. I'm glad I remembered it right now. But I am a little bit disappointed that we're not seeing the full capabilities of Rocks, if I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think the way that Oda's been going about showing us how strong this guy really was back in the day has been as crazy as I hope it would be. Because a lot of the stuff that we are getting right now have been off screens, or what we're seeing is coming into one moment attacks. Something that I feel like, while it's cool seeing these attacks, and again, that double spread will live with me forever. That's one of the craziest double spreads you're going to get in the series. But I need to see, like, you're talking about a guy that was the one that ran the streets before Roger became king of the pirates. I need to see what he was like. I want to see the fighter that he was, what he was capable of. And we're not seeing this stuff, man. We're not actually getting to see him, like, actually tangle and box. Like with Garling, for example, the fact that he is on that double spread, I think in 1122 or whatever it was, where they're telling you that these people are going to be the key one day that finding the One Piece. Like, they're going to be involved in this whole thing. And Garling is in that double spread. And you're getting him off-screened by Rocks. We're not actually seeing him getting his ass whooped. It's like, bro, like, I can't deal with stuff like that. You know, we're finally getting to see the top ends of this story, and we're not actually getting to see the way it's supposed to be portrayed. But again, that's how I'm looking at it right now with Rocks and stuff. But like, I really wish we actually get to see a fight between Rocks, Garp, and Roger. Like, the 2v1 has to be shown. It just has to be shown, man. Even though the anime might do more for that, but in the manga, it's like, I need to see even a little bit more. Because the other stuff that we're getting right now in terms of talks and whatever, that could even be explained in the anime too. So it's not just the fights that can be helped out in the anime, but you can save that stuff also for what needs to be said in the anime too. That doesn't have to primarily take up so much time in the manga, because again, we need to see these fights. But yeah. But yeah, I think this is a good time, Robbie. We can start wrapping up here, because I feel like I talked about everything that I wanted to talk about in regards to this week's chapter and everything that's happening. I appreciate everybody that tuned in this week for Yap Piece episode 3. We're gonna save the next one for after the break week, which if it is 1165, I'm gonna try and get some of the content creators afterwards on the side with me. Probably on a Sunday or so, since it's a little bit easier for people to come through, and we could talk about what happens in the chapters afterwards from what we read after. But yeah, this was definitely. I'm definitely glad I actually got to do this, so you guys can see exactly where my thought process is when it comes to the things that I'm talking about in One Piece. Because I know, like, some people only see like certain things that I talk about where it's just the hype and stuff, but I can also be, I wouldn't say critical, but you know what I mean. Like, I can come ahead and talk about some of the things that are going on and all that, you know. Also, it will be another cool moment for Rocks before he dies, trying to win over his own body and not letting DOMI REVERSI take over him, and then asking Roger and Garth to protect his family, which would be fascinating, DJ, because it would be exactly the same way that Roger told Garp to watch over his kid, and they got that because of the stuff with Rocks, and that'll make that moment with Roger and Garp in the prison and stuff a lot more different. It would hit so much more different with that information there. So for sure, I get you on that. But again, I appreciate everybody that came through this week for Yap Piece episode 3. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, what you guys think of chapter 1163. What do you make of everything that happened in the chapter? What are your predictions for 1164? And I will catch you guys, I believe, on Monday for Dadadan chapter 215 when that drops, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Monday. We'll be live for that. And then next week we'll be back for 1164 for One Piece. I'm hoping it'll be coming out on time. I'll try and set up a stream and stuff afterwards, hopefully closer to the time when it does come out. But I appreciate everybody who came through. Fun stream. W stream, though. I appreciate y'all coming through. It was a good time, man. And I will catch y'all guys in the next one, man. So, yeah, bro. One Piece right now. Listen, I know we have our qualms. I know we have our issues. I know that we want better for the story. And I think that's at the end of the day, that's all it is, man. I think that's all it is at the end of the day. Everybody enjoys the series. Everybody in some, even if, let's say, you don't love it with the same passion you do, but you just want to see it be shown as, like, when I say it's the best adventure story ever, one of the greatest stories ever told, I need to see all those things, those aspects come out. And I'm hoping Oda will do that for me, man. So if I got to start calling them out, potentially, and then, you know, biting my own words afterwards, but hey, if I got to be the villain for the better of the world, I'll gladly do so. And that's what we're going to do, man. So I will catch you guys next week. Appreciate y'all coming through, and I'll see y'all next time. Commodore Last signing off. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, take care.